Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we're here on GP Bikes and we're going to be checking out the newest MotoGP circuit. Balaton Park in Hungary was announced today to be joining the 2025 MotoGP calendar and also the 2025 World Superbike calendar, and since it exists in this game, it was made a few months ago, I thought why not hop on, try out the MotoGP bikes again, try out the circuit and just sort of give you my thoughts. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So here we are then, down on the track at Balaton Park, and I have actually played this track once before, I think, when it first came out on this game, so a couple of months back. Didn't actually try it on the MotoGP bikes, so not been carrying the full speed. I think it might have been the British Superbikes I tried it on back then, I don't know, it was quite a while ago. So it might take me a little bit of time to get up to speed with the circuit. Well, I probably won't get up to speed with it in this video, but just actually get the layout down. And of course, you can see, we are on the track as Aprilia today. I mean, I suppose now that I think about it, maybe I shouldn't have used that, because obviously we used that in career mode on MotoGP, but you know what, I thought I'd try out another 2025 rider since we're here on a 2025 track, and decided to go as Agora today, as we run really wide there, almost into the gravel. But I'm actually pretty interested to see how this track sort of flows, how it is on the GP bike. Obviously, be interested to kind of think about how it's going to race, if they actually, in fact, do come here. Because, of course, I've made a bit of a joke about it in the title. But the last few years, well, we've completely messed up this time. Good job, there is some tarmac runoff for us to go through. Definitely would be a long lap penalty here, or we've got to give up a second at least anyway in the actual race if we did that. But, yeah, there's been a bit of a trend the last few years. Well, not even the last few, last sort of like 10 years or so, of tracks being announced and then us just not going to them. Obviously, the main exceptions really sort of being Chang and India and a couple of other circuits like that. But a lot of the circuits have been announced, like Circuit of Wales, I mean, that's announced longer than 10 years ago. I think Hungary, again, was actually on the calendar, well, supposed to be on the calendar back in like 2009. Wasn't at this circuit, I don't believe. Don't think this circuit was built at that point, although I'm not too sure. Don't know a lot about Balaton Park, if I'm completely honest. But I started hearing about it a couple of years ago, so I imagine it is a relatively new one. I remember seeing videos of people playing it on like a set of Corsa and like Formula 1 cars and stuff like that. So yeah, a bit of a trend the last few years that these races get cancelled and we never go to them. I think that's going to be the fate that befalls Kazakhstan. Obviously Finland, the same thing happened at the Kimi Ring, so that's two just in the last couple of years. And of course, as I mentioned before, with Hungary, it's happened before where it's been cancelled, so I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but it is just interesting to jump on and give the track a go anyway. So far then, we are 47 seconds into our first flying lap around the track, and I've done a bit better than the outlap, so we are starting to get down to a bit of speed here. A couple of decent overtaking opportunities, I think, to be fair, because of course, by the time we come here, we will have the new front tyre, so hopefully it should be a bit easier to follow, a bit easier to sort of try and send it inside, a bit more trust in the tyre, the pressure shouldn't go out the window so much, so I think that will have a big impact on the racing, because obviously at the moment, we saw it pretty badly in the last Mazzano round, that sometimes you just can't follow, and Bagnaia struggled with it in the sprint race, couldn't follow Martin, and I'm sure we probably would have saw it more in the main race as well, probably the other way around, if it hadn't rained. Obviously the rain did completely change that and sort of spread the pack out a little bit, but tell you what, that last little section there kind of reminds me a little bit of the Korea track that used to be in Formula 1, there was a sort of the left-hander and then a bit of a right kink up towards the line. Got a little bit of vibes of that through there, but there we go, 37.0, not at all a representative lap, and as we go absolutely massively wide at turn 1, this one's probably not going to be that representative either, although we are actually under, so it kind of shows you how poor the first lap was. But yeah, seems like quite a little flowing track, this one, to be fair. There's a few, like I said on the previous, a couple of overtaking opportunities. I think down into this next hairpin here, this right-hander, that's definitely one. If you get a good exit out of here, you can position yourself onto the inside and really go for it, and it's... Oh, okay, we've had a bit of a crash. I was about to say it's a pretty tight-looking corner. I was going to try and have a little look at the radius of the corner, to be honest, but we crashed in the braking zone. But yeah, you could try a pass there. Then there's potential you could get the cut back on the inside, but then you have got this inside here of the next left-hander if you have sort of got it. So if you go straight into the right, run a bit wide, the guy that you're trying to pass could cut you back, but then you have the inside there, but then he'll have the inside here, so that little section there, that could be quite good for battling, probably quite good for the more nimble bikes in the turns as well. So the Aprilia probably going quite well there, and then the Yamaha will probably be a bit closer, but I guess we'll have to see. Obviously, we don't really know where the Yamaha is going to stand, and again, another crash. That was pretty bizarre, to be honest. I think we are now hitting the point where we've got front tyre issues again with the MotoGP 2024 mod, unfortunately. probably one of the reasons why I don't use this mod too much anymore, because front end just became a lot weaker in an update they put out. Actually, it was a GP23 mod, wasn't it, that the front end got a lot weaker. I think it is better in the GP24 mod now, and there was an update recently that actually did improve it, but still, you know, it's underlined there that the front end isn't too good. But I quite like this last sector, I must say. A little bit of a chicane, then you've got a couple of little flip-flops here. A lot of sort of changes of direction around this circuit. You can see, if you look at the map, it's an interesting looking map. I've just had a little look at it there. It's a bit of a weird shape, but it's quite different, isn't it? It's quite different to other circuits that we go to. It's not your typical... It's not one of your classic European venues, is it? It's quite flat, so I don't know how much character that will allow the circuit to have. I mean, of course, this is sort of a conversion of the circuit into GP bikes, and like I said, I don't think the track has been around for very long, so it's probably not laser scanned into any games to be ported into this one yet, so it might have a bit more depth to this, but obviously it's pretty much completely flat. A lot of the corners they're pretty much a lot of medium speed corners, a couple of hairpins, a couple of little chicanes. I think the layout actually is quite good. I'd be interested to actually do some proper racing around here. Obviously that's going to be a bit more difficult until it actually comes to either the MotoGP game or we can get a big lobby going on this game, but obviously just doing Tarjol on my own isn't really going to give us too much of an in-depth look at actually how the track is going to race. This corner could be an interesting one. If you can carry the speed through here, we're going to have to change the gearing a little bit there. Oh, the rear's gone though. The rear's gone on the entry. If you can sort of force a move around the outside, dive it into this little chicane here, that could be another good overtaking opportunity. I think it's going to be quite hard to pull a pass in here. You might want to put something really aggressive into this penultimate turn, but yeah, like I said, I like riding that little last sector, but I don't know if there's particularly going to be the chance actually to get back up the inside of someone there. 36.4 then, that lap, a lot better than the previous one, but again, nothing too good at all. Not expecting anything record breaking. I'm sure someone in the comments will be like, I did like a 32, you're terrible, and yeah, they'll probably be right. I am pretty terrible at the circuit. If anybody in the comments below is from Hungary or anything, let me know a little bit about this track, maybe where it is, as we completely go through this chicane here. A little bit about maybe what other series have raced here, because again, and how old the circuit is, because again, I don't know too much about it. I mean, I probably should have just looked it up on Wikipedia before coming into the race, shouldn't I, to be honest, but like I said, I'm pretty sure this is a newish track. Nothing high level has raced here before, so will be interesting. MotoGP could be the litmus test, because potentially you could see Formula 1 coming here instead of Hungaroring, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit tight. Again, obviously we are just telling this off a version of the track in GP bikes, so you can't be too sure, but it does seem like quite a narrow circuit. But definitely some overtaking opportunities, I think. Down to turn 1, obviously that is always going to be one. There's quite a few heavy braking zones in this like, sort of first half of the lap. So you've got this one here. Well, not quite a few. There's a couple. So there's turn 1, and then there's this must be turn 2. And obviously you've got the long sort of left through here. You could maybe try and stick up the inside of someone here, pretty aggressive pass, or into here. But this is your... Oh, how many times are we going to do that? It's the trail braking on the front end of this bike. Just absolutely goes from underneath you. It's really, really annoying. But as I was going to say, I think I've said it already, like out of here, it's probably one of your best opportunities. So into 1, is this like into 6, 5 or 6? Quite a heavy braking zone, you know, when it's got 200 meter boards listed, it's a pretty heavy one. Into here, like I said, there is potentially the attempt at the undercut and the attempt at the sort of defense of the undercut as well with that sort of flip-flop. But then I think through here, it's going to be pretty difficult to make a pass. Then out of here, down towards the chicane. You could probably actually try something into here, but it's a very, very tight chicane, as you can see. So that's going to probably be a bit of a block pass section of the circuit. Again, maybe you could send something into there, but I just don't feel... Oh, and I've gone off again because I was too busy. Again, it's difficult when you're looking at parts of the track instead of actually where you're supposed to be going. But I think maybe if you got a good run out the chicane, you could send it there, but I think you'd probably save it then from here into this chicane. So there's a few different chicanes. Like I said, when I was doing my first lap, a few different changes of direction. I think this would be quite a fun track to ride for the riders. I think it's got... I quite like a little flip-flop like this. I mean, some people probably don't, but personally I do quite like playing that on the games and stuff like that. And I imagine a lot of the riders, it's probably quite a flowing little circuit. Again, this last sector is a bit maybe nursery. I think I said I liked it the first time. I actually don't mind it, but I think in terms of flowing, it's not the best. But yeah, seems like a decent track, and like I said, if you do know any more about it, do let me know. I think what we'll do now then is try and go for a bit of a hot lap, see what time we can get, and then probably end this off, because unless I can find a lobby with a lot of people in to do some racing, not much more can be said about the circuit at this point. So here we are then, let's give this a go. Not been a good lap on the previous one, crashed quite a lot of times, but that is kind of the nature of the Mano MotoGP mod, I'm afraid. The front end on it's really, really poor compared to a lot of other mods on this game. But we are under in that first corner, which is to be expected, because like I said, the lap wasn't great. So we go through this long left-hander, lots of long lefts at this circuit. Obviously we've got, oh, come on. Okay, well that's that lap gone, but as I was going to say, lots of long lefts, so that sort of first sector, you've got all the way from, what, turn 2, all the way to about turn 4, just one long left-hander, and you've got a similar thing in the last sector as well, so coming towards the lines. I think this track could work quite well for Marc Marquez next year, with the scrubbing off the speed or just using the left-handers. Obviously some heavy braking zones as well, so you've got one, you've got that corner, and obviously the end of the back straight before the, well, kind of a straight, the curved straight, I guess, before the chicane that obviously brings you into that left-hand section. That's probably going to play into his strengths. Bagnaia as well, probably going to enjoy that, so it could be an interesting little battle between them. I think the amount of lefts there have here is going to play into Marc Marquez's strength, so probably a bit more of an anti-clockwise circuit then than you perhaps see typically. So obviously we've got some like Sachsenring and Austin already on the calendar, and Aragon of course as well, but see most circuits are clockwise. This one, like I said, is a bit different, and of course when they first come in, it will probably be quite low grip, so I might say it here, if we do actually end up going to this circuit, I think we could have a Marc Marquez winner next season, because just seems like it probably will play to all of his strength. Loads of left-handers, heavy braking, and I reckon it will be pretty low grip as well. But it will be interesting to see how it actually looks in real life in terms of the elevation and things like that, and obviously the actual sponsor boards around the circuit, because obviously at the moment, the version we're playing is obviously quite plain because, well, there's not a race weekend going on, there's nothing, no grandstands or anything like that. So yeah, I think that kind of does reinforce the point that the track is pretty new. But again, like I did say before, do let me know if you know anything about the circuit in particular. So far, this lap hasn't been amazing. We're only about a tenth underneath the current lap time we've got, but we haven't crashed, so I suppose that's better than what we've been doing the last few laps. Try brake fairly deep here, 200 metre board on the brakes. I'm not going to pull that down. Oh, come on. It's not going very well, is it? I'm going to probably give it one more attempt at an actual flying lap, and then we'll end off the video, I think. So here we go then. What can we do this time? I'm going to try and push, but I've got to kind of push within the limits, because I'm easily able to step over them. You can see why I kind of stopped doing the can we beat pole challenges, because it's just so frustrating trying to ride this sort of bike around here. And of course, I think the lap times in real life have just got so far ahead of the game now, because the game is still kind of based on the 2023 sort of season and tyres, and obviously this season in 2024. Everything has been so much faster, but a pretty good first sector there. Half a second underneath the lap time that we had, so that's going to be a big improvement. And you can see we just lost so much time into that heavy braking zone, but we are going to find it all back. Wow, we're going to find it back and then some. We're a second underneath now, so we've doubled the gap in one corner. I saw when it absolutely plummeted, I thought it must have gone wide. Another corner that's going to be pretty tricky then is this chicane up here, so we hit the braking point about 150 metres. So some of these chicanes, because they are quite tight and nazary, again, quite a bit of heavy braking, so that seems to be the theme of this track. Heavy braking in a few different spots, a few changes of direction, and lots of left-hand corners as well. So if you're a right-handed guy or a right-handed circuit lover, you're not going to be too happy. I think at this circuit you are going to probably struggle a little bit. You're going to be slightly on the back foot. Some really risky potential overtaking opportunities, because I think into there, off the back of the curved straight, you could go for it, but it is a bit of risk on that front end. And here we go then through the penultimate turn. We've missed the apex by a mile. This has not been by any means a good lap, but it's still going to be our best one. Up towards the line there. It's going to be 1 minute 35.242 then here on the Aprilia as I Agora. Now obviously probably could have gone better than that if I used a setup, if I obviously practiced there all night, but yeah, there we go. We managed to get a clean lap in. That was pretty much all I wanted to do. But that pretty much brings this video to a close there, guys. So hopefully you have enjoyed that one. Just thought I'd give this track a little bit of a look since it was announced today. Obviously, like I said, I've played it once before, but never really thought too much about it as a GP circuit. And Obviously, as we've discovered, few heavy braking points, so there is some overtaking opportunities, but also lots of long left-handers and quite a lot of flip-flops where I think it's going to be quite difficult to pull passes. So it's going to be a lot of those block passes in the heavy braking zones, I think, to be honest. So sort of your turn 1s, your turn 6, into the 2 chicanes, really, with the one at the end of the curve straight and the one after sort of the right-hander that brings you onto a little short straight before the chicane. You have to brake, because they're so tight, you have to brake quite early, so it is quite a heavy on the anchors braking zone, even though they're not necessarily, well, I'm saying they're not necessarily going to approach at speed. Yes, they are, because the curve straight's massively fast, and then that other one is fairly long as well. So yeah, it could provide us some interesting racing, some interesting lines, but of course, it does have to happen first, which I don't have 100% confidence in. But either way, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.